being orphaned off and, just abandoned at some foot of a church, there's been a question since the start of the series, the mysteries of who are the parents of Yuno and who are the parents of Asta. Where do they come from? What are their last names? Now, we're given, as of chapter 233, some information on one of them, that being Yuno. So, there are some smaller stuff we can kind of get. He's apparently part of this family, the Grin Bellior family. But the thing about it that's interesting, obviously, is that it was the royal family of the Spade Kingdom at one point. And after the Dark Triad showed up, they ended up, kicking out the Grin Bellior family, and all the men to scatter. And one of those members, obviously, as stated, is Yuno, Prince Yuno. He's of a, I guess you can really call it a prince, but it's, he should be prince, not currently a prince. He's this kind of like shamed, like entirely banished bloodline. But we don't know anything about where the other ones are. But this video is more towards that whole reveal and how it actually affects one of the theories I've been having for a while. Now, I've been on my channel long enough, that one of my Black Clover theories is that the character we know as Yuno is actually the elf soul of Lictantedia's child that was placed within a body for the elf resurrection. And I think that this strongly pushes for that. And the person who originally owned the body is still, his soul is still sleeping in there somewhere. And why I think that is if you go and look, the elves, they're not referring to him as Yuno. The only person referring to him as Yuno is this guy who knows him from the Spade Kingdom. And that means that the original body, and we know because, the names were on Asta and Yuno when they were dropped off at whoever decided to leave them over in the Clover Kingdom. And they had their names on their clothes. Obviously, that meant that Asta, being Asta, but Yuno should be the name of the person who originally owned the body, not the elf that went in there. And one thing to note, very consistent with the series, is that people with a bloodline connection, whether you're, parent and child, cousins, well, I guess not cousins, but brother, sister, and then you have that kind of direct one. I guess cousin doesn't really count, obvious reasons. But from that, characters who are, they've got a sibling in the series, their magics are pretty similar. They're at least of somewhat, close proximity, or we know both their parents have two completely different elements, and that's the reason why. Obviously, looking at something like the Silva household, the Aesir and her husband, you have water and steel, and that made, water, mist, and mercury. Then you get stuff like, you get mimosa and kirsch, you have plants and cherry blossoms. You got langris and finral. One is offensive and one is kind of more support, spatial magic. But the consistent thing about that, like I said, is that your magic is set in some way, within distance of viewing people that you're related to, and obviously that's going to connect to your parents and what their magics were. And you get cases like, Patri, Patri had his own magic, and William has his own magic. And with Yuno, what is his magic? He's got wind magic, and there's a sword aspect that he gained to it, and the elf, upgraded version, it became Golden Wind. Now, that means that he is the one to be, the soul of the child of Lictantedia, because obviously his magic is connected to theirs. It's too similar, I think, for a coincidence. And my theory has been that Yuno, again, the one that we know as Asta's rival, is the elf soul. But it seems, though, the thing about that is the person that originally owned the body is Yuno. The elf character, we just don't know their name because they probably never got a name, obviously dying before they were born. I'm hoping, if this is the case, it's going to have, the original body owner kind of, maybe evacuate the body, get a new one, and then be like, well, I never got to be Yuno, so I'm going to have a different name or something. But given all of the things that Tabata has shown consistency with, and I think that, one of the reasons that this guy was the one that referred him as Yuno, obviously they're clothing had their names in it when they were dropped off, and the elves kind of always just referred to him as, you know, the you know, oh, is not be surprised that's Licht and Tedia's and then, you know, cut off. It obviously is trying to tease you, but I think it's more evidence towards that than just being some kind of random theory at the moment. There's still obviously going to be a lot of mystery, because then it's like, well, what's going to happen with this other guy? And I still believe that it will be really important, because if, you know, the character we know as Yuno, he still being the half elf, half human in you know, in that conception of his powers, he should have like a connecting point between, you know, peace between the races, because you have Asta, who is, as we currently know, straight human, and, you know, Yuno, who's a hybrid elf and human. Him actually growing up knowing that, you know, not all humans are bad, just like not all elves are bad, would be a nice way to kind of bridge the gap between some of the hostilities out of the two clans. Well, clans, races, like, kind of weird with the way the elves work. But anyway, comment below, tell me your thoughts on this, because I just think that Tabata has always shown that he's consistent with a lot of the stuff he does, and the fact that you have certain aspects like that with you know, bloodlines and magic, and I just think that it has way more water holding it than, oh well, the elf character, you know, just doesn't have magic related to Tedia and Licht, and he's just been quiet this whole time. I think it'd be more interesting, and then maybe we find out, you know, why exactly he's been sleeping and silent. Because obviously, even if he's not, and Yuno is the Spade Kingdom character, and the sleeping elf soul is still in there, then there's going to be a lot of questions about, like, why are you sleeping? Why did, you know, why did Yuno not lose control when, you know, the elf resurrection arc went up? There's a good couple questions in there that we'll probably find out soon. I mean, this guy's going to give more information on this Grinbelior family. So until the next, you know, drop of information that we could really expand upon, I think this is pretty solid right now. And other than that, like I said, comment below, thumbs up the video, friend the like button and subscribe button, and check out my other videos. And that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.